to check culture of arbitrariness and brutality of security operatives to Nigerians. The Senate is aware that the Amnesty International 2017 to 2018 Global Human Rights Report contains allegations of extrajudicial executions, enforced disappearances, and torture and other ill treatment. The Senate is also aware that according to the end of visit statement of the United Nations Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial summary or arbitrary executions, published in September 2019, we are proceeding over an injustice pressure cooker, quote and unquote. Senate notes that these injustices are a flagrant disregard of laws that should govern all Nigerians and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which in addition to prescribing powers to these various agencies, provides for the rights of every Nigerian. Senate is reminded that Chapter 4 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, provides for rights to life, to freedom from inhuman or degrading treatment, rights to freedom of movement, amongst others. Senate is further reminded also that Nigeria is a party to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, and the Convention Against Torture and Other Cruel, Inhuman, or Degrading Treatment or Punishment, all of which further entrench these rights. Senate is concerned that in spite of these, the culture of brutality of security operatives towards Nigerians has continued unabated. It's saddened that only recently the internet was awash with videos of cadets of the Nigerian Army or Nigerian Defense Academy who created an illegal blockage at Sabo Yaba in Lagos State, while exclaiming that it was their turn to oppress Nigerians and nothing could be done about it. Senate is further saddened because on Tuesday, 1st of March 2020, men of the Nigerian Army, while enforcing the lockdown directive to stem the proliferation of the coronavirus, COVID-19, were alleged to have beaten a man to death in Delta State. Senate notes that while the Nigerian Army is doing a good job securing the territory of the Federal Republic of Nigeria against insurgents, allegations of human rights abuses by its officers cannot be overlooked. Senate is concerned that the chief in the abuse of Nigerians appeared to be the Nigerian Police Force, and in particular, a Special Anti-Robbery Response Squad, SARS. Senate received with sadness news of the killing of Kolade Johnson on 1st of April 2019 while he was watching a football match at a viewing center in Mongoro, Onipetesi community in Lagos State. Senate is saddened that only recently, Tiamiu Kazim alias Kaka, a budding football star, was pushed out of a moving vehicle to his death by SARS operatives after he had been stopped for looking like a Yahoo boy. In August 2019, a video surfaced of two policemen shooting dead two unarmed suspected phone thieves. Senate is concerned that Nigerian youth can no longer move freely for fear that they will be profiled and accused of being Yahoo boys or fraudsters merely because they look good, own laptops, iPhones, nice-looking cars, or profiled by having dreads or certain hairstyles. Only recently, the global and social media was awash with the #EndSARS campaign and stories of brutality of the men of the Special Anti-Robbery Response Squad. Senate further is concerned that with more Nigerian youth being involved with software development, fintech, and doing more remote jobs in the ICT, profiling by policemen is a major problem. Senate is worried that despite assurances by the Inspector General of Police in 2015 and 2017 that there would be reforms of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad Nigerians are daily still being abducted and extorted under duress with no mechanism in place for complaints and resolution of same. Senate is saddened that SARS operations have degenerated into intimidation, harassment, and extortion of innocent Nigerians. Senate also notes that as a by-effect of the fear of Nigerian police, Nigerians cannot report occurrence of crime to the police without being made to part with cash or fearing that they will be detained for the commission of the same offense that they have come to report. Senate is reminded that the protection of lives and properties of Nigerians is the fundamental duty of the government. We further reminded that a militarized police which fails to protect lives and property of the populace will only make the people the enemy of the state. Senate accordingly resolves 1. Mandate the Committee on Judiciary, Human Rights and Legal Matters to investigate human rights abuses by Nigerian security agencies. 2. Urge the various security agencies to establish hotlines to enable Nigerians report abuses by their agents. 3. Urge the various security agencies to establish a special bureau unit that monitors the conduct of its officers, arrests and charges erring ones. 4. Mandate the Committee on Police Affairs and Judiciary and Human Rights to investigate allegations of extrajudicial executions and make recommendations for the reparation. 5. Mandate the Committee on Police Affairs to organize a stakeholders meeting to investigate implementation of the Nigerian Police Trust Fund Act 2019. 6. Commend the Inspector General of Police for swift response and urge him to review the objectives behind the establishment of the tactical squads with a view to permanently restricting their interference in daily activities of Nigerians. And thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues.
Distinguished Senator Mohamed Adamalero.
For bringing this motion. Even though under 4252, I personally believe the justice to the motion would have been best served if it were put on notice so that we could make an appropriate and informed contribution. Mr. President, I say this because this is a very, very serious matter, a matter that has also assumed a pandemic proportion. Only a couple of days ago, I was away outside the country, and I saw a video that also went viral dealing with the activities of SARS and another special police unit, I'm told, domiciled under the office of the IG, where a constituent of mine was accosted, his phone seized, and shot at. The first information that went viral was that he had been killed, but good enough. I believe after some investigation, it turned out that even though shot, badly injured, he remains hospitalized. Mr. President, my constituency was almost on fire as a result of this incident. Mr. President, we are beginning to wonder. Now you can't even tell when you see a SARS or members of the other police units, serving under the IG. You can't even tell the difference between them and armed robbers. Even the way they are dressed. You can't even tell who is for law enforcement and who is breaking the law. Mr. President, as Governor Leo rightly pointed out, we have a constitution. And the constitution has guaranteed privacy to our citizens. If nothing else, at least the right to the contents of your telephone. is at least protected until there is a warrant for that arrest before it could be searched. But now these people have become more like extortionists, extorting money from people by going into their phones, not because they actually want to provide law enforcement, but they are looking for ways to force these people to part with money. But as that is, it is even worse that they move beyond that to want to take lives without a due process. Mr. President, I know that I know your attitude and the attitude of these chambers to 4252 motions, not to take too many contributions. But this is a very, very serious matter, and I just want to lend my voice in support of this motion and the contribution already made by Governor Alero, that this matter be looked into very, very seriously, and I will support all.
DSP, he is distinguished Senator Alero. You keep on referring to him as Governor Alero, Governor Alero. I'm sure he will be happier if he is referred to as distinguished Senator Alero.
Uses the power excessively, and those who give the power cannot control the power, cannot curtail the power, and cannot ask the man who is using the power excessively, call him to question. Nigeria is in problem. Extrajudicial killings everywhere. Boko Haram, they are killing everywhere. The battle has been on for about 10 years. We are not able to abate it. Herdsmen are doing their own. Bandits are doing their own. Armed robbers are doing their own. Assassins are doing their own. So wherever you go to, you are not sure it can be allowed till the next day. Now, these people are not government agents or agencies. They develop themselves, develop the capacity, and are fighting Nigeria as a nation. We are also battling back against them. Now, this special anti-robbery squad formation by the police, I think it was intended for a good thing. It's to stop robbery, mainly armed robbery in the country, maybe among other services or other functions. Today, has armed robbery been abated in our country? No. There are more robbery in the country than before SARS was established, was formed. So, this call for a question. Are they really doing their work? We need to answer it by ourselves. When a government agent or agency, agents of government, are continuously taking away lives of people, when an agent of government is continuously abusing people's rights, and then they are set up by the government, those people that set them up, are they not hearing? Are they not seeing? Is it only the senators that are seeing this kind of thing? We are in a country. If you post something on the internet, every person will read. Are they not reading it? Why can't they call them to order? Mr. President, these SARS formation, these SARS members, they are agents of corruption. They stay on the road, extract money from innocent people, threaten them. If you don't part with some money, they take you to their offices and lock you up. They are not VIOs. They have their own defined function. But they will go ahead to say, where is your driving license? Where is your car particulars? That is not their function. They must face their own function. They must face their own function. Mr. President, before I thought SARS was merely formed to conduct election in Rivers State. When we cried aloud in the last election, how it was all over the internet space, when they were killing our people, shooting and arresting people, we were shouting, no one is talking. Now the madness, when you groom a monster for something else, and it doesn't have the function to perform again, it will turn back against you or against the nation. SARS has turned back against the nation. Mr. President, this is the right time for us to do something about it and curb their excesses. Either we completely scrap them off or redefine their functions and then get the IG to completely monitor what they are doing. So I completely agree with my sister that brought the motion and all our prayers. Mr. President, I so submit.
Distinguished colleagues, there are many.
They will continue to be unemployable. They will continue not to be part of the global world. Therefore, a situation where they will be harassed, molested, just because they are trying to acquire the skills and to live by the normal, today's global new normal. I think it's very disheartening, Mr. President. I think it's also very discouraging, because what it is that a normal youth will now, for the sake of being harassed, will decide not to acquire the skills. How would they even have the training? All trainings now are gearing towards ICT. How would they have those skills to even survive in a world of today? And so, Mr. President, on the part of the police, I think we have a gap as well. The gap is that the police cannot give what they don't have. If the police on the street doesn't have ICT knowledge and is not trained on the essentials of ICT, how will he combat the crime? How will he even know who to arrest and who not to arrest? And so it becomes a corrupt practice. And so what I suggest is that the police, maybe with the trust fund, should invest in having ICT.
Distinguished colleagues, please, those who have not put their masks, please, can we use our masks? Please. Go ahead.
I think police should invest in having these cybercrime training centers or schools. The reason why they must do that is to have a special squad whose responsibility is on cybercrime and cybercrime prevention. In that case, if a crime is being committed using ICT or a cybercrime is being committed, they would have had a special squad where you have trained personnel whose responsibility will be to ensure that they do it the way it ought to be done. But harassing and killing innocent kids on the streets, it's just very uncivilized and must be stopped. If we don't stop it, our progressing on ICT, indeed our economic progression will be very, very much retarded along the way. Mr. President, this is a very, very serious matter, and I want to really commend Senator Tinubu for this wonderful motion. Thank you, Mr. President.
On that perspective, because we must be reminded of the provisions of our Constitution, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Mr. President, Chapter 4 of our Constitution is very explicit on the issue of fundamental rights. Chapter 4 of our Constitution is very explicit on the issue of fundamental rights. Mr. President, if you have a closer look at our Constitution, we have about 8 rights that are clearly stated. The first one is right to life, right to dignity of human person, the right to fair hearing, the right to private family life, right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion, right to freedom of expression and the press, right to peaceful assembly and association, right to freedom of movement, right to acquire and own immovable property anywhere in Nigeria. These 8 rights, Mr. President, we are talking of the right to life. We know it too that it is the right of every Nigerian to have his right preserved, his life preserved. And if you look at that, the first right in our Constitution, of course in that chapter. And the only reason why somebody's life must be taken must be as a result of adjudication by a court of competent jurisdiction. Anything different from that is a violation of the provision of this Constitution. Mr. President, oftentimes in this country, even agencies of government that are established, we have seen it that people have violated the rights of Nigerians. When, of course, you violate the right to life, when a court of competent jurisdiction has not so adjudicated, it is that you call it extrajudicial killing, which, of course, is a violation. We have a judicial system. We have our justice system. We have our codes, both penal and criminal codes. And we expect that those who violate these codes must be brought to book. Mr. President, oftentimes, if you remember in the 8th Senate, we too tried to do amendment to the FCC Act. And the area of it that was more meaningful was the violation of fundamental rights, where people are arrested and incarcerated, when, of course, issues have not been fully investigated, when, of course, properties are forfeited, when, of course, a court of competent jurisdiction has not adjudicated on the matter. All these things are occurrences happening in our country today. And I believe they are very serious issues. All throughout last week, my phone was inundated with calls. This issue of federal, SARS. Every time now you see them, I call them urban terrorists. You see them, they are done in attires that you can best describe, for criminals. So it is not just happening. And I thank Senator Oluremi Tinubu, who has brought this to the fore. So I thought of it that once we resume this week, we're going to bring up this matter. It's now an issue of national disgrace. And a body like this, a distinguished Senate, this chamber, we must say to them very clearly that they are violating the laws. And when there are serious reprisals that are meted out on these violators, I think it will serve as a deterrent. Mr. President, only last week, Senator Otazi came in here and mentioned how a young girl who had just finished her youth service was killed in Abuja. And we have been seeing pockets of all these type of ugly occurrences across the country. We'll come in here, we'll talk about it. Nobody avails also of the serious consequences that will be meted out to these people. But I think for once, this motion must attract very serious resolution. That anybody that commits the crime, that of course takes the life of another Nigerian, we know what the law says. You too should lose your life. If we are able to take the law to a logical conclusion, then of course we have started on the journey of ensuring that our society get better. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Minority Leader, Minority Whip, sorry.
Mr. President, just like my distinguished colleague has mentioned, only last week Senator Utazi brought a motion here where one of my constituents called Ifoma was murdered by the SARS, that they went to her house and they went to the house where they were looking for the either fiancé or boyfriend. They didn't find him, and then they decided to pick her, and the next thing was that it was alleged that she was either raped or beaten and that she died. Though the Commissioner of Police, FCT, promised and said there will be a post-mortem where investigations will be carried out and those who are liable will be prosecuted. But Mr. President, that is not just it. These people go about maiming people, killing people for no just reason. Once they suspect somebody, they just chase and then they kill the people. It is unfortunate that that is happening. The police is supposed to be our friends, not people who will kill people. But then, one other thing that is heartwarming is the fact that the new Police Act have it in, I think, chapter 5 or so of the Police Act, where they say you go to arrest if you do not find somebody, you don't go and arrest anybody in place of somebody. You see these SARS people, just like it has been said, with t-shirts and jeans. Sometimes, if they stop you, you even become apprehensive because you wonder if it is armed robbers on the streets that want to come and either attack you or something. Mr. President, the Abba Kyari group has done well and have been able to show commitment and loyalty. But all the others, Your Excellency, I must say, have lived short of the expectation of the work that they are supposed to do. And Mr. President, though recently we saw the IGP come out to give instructional journal on how they should behave and how they should act, but that is not, it does not stop there. What they are supposed to do is to ensure strict compliance and monitoring. Otherwise, we'll continue to lose our promising youth, people who are contributing meaningfully to this society for just no cause, for the mode of their dressing, or for the fact that there are 3 or 4 of them in a vehicle, and then they stop them, or they see something with them that they even like, and they stop them, and before you know it, they are killing somebody or maiming them. So, Mr. President, this motion, I support it totally, and with the caveat that the committee should live up to their expectation by ensuring that they carry out their oversight to ensure that the manual that the IGP has brought in and what they need to do with the act so that they can ensure compliance and ensure that the lives of citizens are saved rather than wasted. Thank you, Mr. President.